this arrangement has a bunch of different silk flowers, but it also has different gold-inspired contraptions and dried flowers. It's pretty fun, actually. It makes me want to do the Irish jig. Welcome back to Studio 131 Design and Decor. Shop now on Etsy. Thanks for watching. My name's Karen. I'll be your hostiest with the mostiest. So open up your DIY kits and let's get started. You might have a DIY kit, and if you don't, just feel free to subscribe and check out some more of my other videos. Here we're going to go over different ways we can utilize mason jars. We got all different kinds of mason jars in this video. We've got white mason jars with gold speckles on them. Those are amazing. I bought them already painted because I don't like particularly painting mason jars. But you can paint them yourself with this amazing mixture of things. But that's a whole nother video for a whole nother day. We also have these beautiful gold glass mason jars. Those are really cool speckled glass. These mason jars have a boho-esque look to them. We put some beautiful burlap ribbon around them and bows, and that was fun and cute way to dress them up. Mason jars are really popular because they give you that rustic and casual feeling, but you can still stuff them with really beautiful materials and come up with a great arrangement. They're inexpensive and they're quick and easy to fill, so people love to do these, especially for DIY projects. And any note, we always are going to need to trim stems. So whether that's with fresh flowers, silk flowers, we're always going to need to break, trim, or cut stems. The other thing that's important is making sure that you're using the proper scissors and the proper materials for trimming and dethorning your roses. There's a whole nother video about fresh flowers and how to prep them and get them ready for these types of arrangements. But in this video, we simply want to recognize how they can be used in a mason jar specifically. So we will always start with our largest piece first, which is the hydrangea, and then we'll work our way around to the other materials using the fillers last. Some people choose to do it the other way around. They'll start with the fillers and then slowly but surely work their way around with the other materials. Most importantly, you want to make sure that your roses or highlight flowers are featured and that they're really standing out and they're looking perfect and polished. But that all comes in with your prep work. So as long as you have all your materials prepped before they're arranged, you are good to go. As you can see in this video, I'm just about due with my little baby Joseph. Hopefully you'll get to see him in the next videos to come. Dun, dun, dun. You know, another reason mason jars could be popular is because when you're using fresh flowers, they are really good at holding water. That's for sure. You don't have to worry about them leaking. Some of these vases that you buy these days will rust, or they're not actually created to hold water very well. So you have to be real careful, but because they're glass, they hold water really well and you never have to worry about that. If you have a mason jar, you don't really need the foam. So this mason jar arrangement, I'm doing the bundle and twist type of maneuver. This is something that you would do to make all types of bouquets, and I tend to find that especially if you're using a clear mason jar and people are going to see all the stems, you better wrap them and twist them and wrap them and twist them and get a really full bundled effect. Otherwise, it's just going to look weird with a bunch of stems hanging out loose. Plus, this gives you an opportunity to tie them up, keep them bundled together, so if you need to separate them from the jar at any time, they're not going to just fall apart on you. It'll also help keep that bouquet shape on top, and you could trim all of the stems at the same time if needed and get them in the jar appropriately. Now we're adding just a couple quick little dried things to make that arrangement complete. I do love adding a little bit of wow. It makes us a little more unique. For these Valentine's ones, these were really special because we're using a really like high class, kind of edgy looking mason jar, but then with really beautiful florals. So all the pinks and whites and reds really tie it together. these fresh flowers. You have it in your hand, you've got the height pretty close, you wrapped it all with your tape, and now you're gonna measure the height out and trim all of them to get it in the mason jar, making sure that the bottom is touching the water, but the water's not so high up that it's rotting your leaves and stems. It's a delicate balance, but that's why they leave it to the professionals. But with these handy dandy videos, you may be able to practice and pull it off just fine. Flower arranging is not for sissies, that's for sure. Now, you can check out some of the other videos with Studio 131 Design and Decor. We'll list them in the link below. There's several ways to wrap your bouquet to keep all of the flowers in place. This is really good, especially if you're traveling from your event to another location, because you're not often going to build them on site. So you're wanting to build the bouquet, place the flowers, rotate, place another flower, rotate, place another, and rotate. This gives a very rounded effect and gives you that full bouquet look. Now, if you have finished that step and you want to secure it, you can use floral tape, which I highly recommend with fresh flowers. You want to use a waterproof tape because you don't want it melting inside the jar. There's several different types of floral tape, but I prefer the waterproof kinds. It's the most durable. If you're not using that, you could use a wire. Sometimes there's a wire left over from the flowers, from the silk floral arrangements, and you can use something like that. You could tie a ribbon around it, but I tend to lean away from that simply because my arrangement will get a little bit loose in the meantime. So something that you can fix around them very quickly. And if you want to keep the shape of these beautiful arrangements, you have to do it. Otherwise, it's just going to look crazy. And as you can see in the bottom of the jar, the stems open up at the bottom. And that actually helps balance the arrangement in there too. If they're all just stuck in there, the whole arrangement's likely going to topple over. But with all of the stems shooting outwards, it actually helps keep them upright. You're going to wrap them exactly where your hand was, so that will really help. Now, if you're making a bouquet for a bride, you're not as worried about them balancing sitting in a jar as you are getting the bouquet wrapped really tightly, so that way you can wrap a pretty ribbon around it and make it look all beautiful. But when it's in a jar like this, you want the bottom to stay open because it actually works as like a kickstand with the flowers, so. Stay tuned for our next video, which Davey is assuring me is bridal bouquets. It's in fact bridal bouquets. Mason jars and baby showers go hand in hand, it seems. I don't know if that's ever going to trend out. That or rustic weddings. Every rustic wedding seems to have mason jars involved. Most importantly, they never trend out because they're always filled with different beautiful pieces. So people on a budget tend to move towards these because you can still fit a good amount of flowers in them because the opening up top is pretty wide. So you're not getting robbed on the amount of flowers, certainly, that you can fit in them, as I would prove in some of these videos. I bet I could fit like 50 flowers in a mason jar. We'll have to try that next week. Mason jars are really a great thing for events because you can do a lot of them in a short period of time. They're also a lot easier to transport from A to B if you need to travel to the place you're going for your party or event or wedding. They are also really easy for your guests to take home or travel home with. The reasons for this is that you can make them all in advance, wrap them with a bow, and actually keep your mason jars in the box or separated the whole time, and then simply put them together when you get there. That keeps all of the glass from breaking. And if you do arrange them beforehand and want them in water, that's fine too. They can all fit really nicely and easily into a box. So a huge, huge help when it comes to making large amounts of these arrangements and staying on budget. Thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure to like and subscribe below, and also check out the links to our other videos. We have some great DIY kits, and we are on Etsy as well as Amazon. So thanks so much for tuning in.